We are live. It is 3:13 p.m., 9:13 p.m. BST. It is the Nomad Tech Project with Sam and Joe. We're coming to you live. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Joe, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not too bad. Had my uncle's celebration of life today, hence the Arsenal shirt. Up the Gunners.
Well,
yeah, he took me to my first Arsenal game.
Good deal. So I'm hoping that went pretty well, and you're at your mom's house.
Yeah, it's nice to spend some time with some family.
Absolutely, family's great, especially with the Memorial Day weekend here in the U.S. I don't know in the U.K. I'm not sure what they. I don't know. They have Memorial Day or
nothing much going on here. No.
Not really. That's okay.
And that's all like Jubilee next week. Jubilee, Platinum Jubilee.
Okay.
Of the Queen.
Of the Queen. That's right, because that's important.
Yeah,
the Queen here. Absolutely. And if you are watching the stream, you'll see that we have a very special guest. We have Adam Matlock. Tech Odyssey has decided to join us, and we are excited because I'm a huge fan of Adam's channel. I've been a fan for quite a long time. I know he's been around for a few years, so he's decided to spend a little bit of time with us here on a Sunday before Memorial Day. Adam, thank you for joining us, sir. I appreciate your time. Thank you for stopping by.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me on board. And special is very subjective. It's a good kind of special.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I mean, the funny thing is we were kind of talking prior to the show about, the genesis of the channel. And that's what we kind of talk about here on the Nomad Tech Project, really about. So the first question I have really is like Tech Odyssey. Is that really, is it a play on words, or is it exactly what I think it was? Is I want to take an Odyssey on tech. I mean, I'm curious as to the name of your channel and where that kind of came from. And hopefully there's a great story behind it. If not, that's okay too.
Yeah, there's not necessarily a great story, but yeah, you got exactly right. It's an odyssey about tech. And when I was sitting around, and I got to tell you, it's probably more difficult nowadays as I see people, they come up with these new creative tech names. When I created my channel about 5 years ago, because I think July 1st is my 5-year anniversary of making videos, I was sitting around for weeks, because it's not just trying to come up with the channel name. It's also something that I can sit there when I started my video, like, hey, everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. I mean, there's only so many things I try. I'm like, this doesn't sound good. But I said,
right.
Nothing I get this sound good. It'd be like if I gave myself a new name. If I decided, I'm going to go by Jerry now, I'm not going to be Adam anymore.
Or Steve. Right, exactly.
Whatever name. So coming up with a name is a tricky part. I mean, it really is, because that's it. That's your identity moving forward. I'm not one of those people that's like, okay, this is failing. I'll rebrand and change to a different name or whatever. So, and that's one reason when I started my channel, my Twitter handle is just Adam J Matlock, because I was like, I don't just want everything to be about this all the time. I mean, I like to, the two identities kind of overlap, but you've probably seen my Twitter. I say whatever I want. 90% of the time it's about food. So I didn't want people to come to my Twitter and be like, hey, I'm here for the latest tech stuff. Why is bro taking pictures of donuts again?
Right. Because donuts are awesome. And I appreciate the fact that your Twitter handle doesn't exactly kind of completely align with your tech channel. You're kind of talking about, whatever the thing is going on as far as what's kind of more like in the life of Adam Matlock, right?
And that's why
I appreciate that.
I'm a talky person, so I'm like, I don't want to limit myself to like, I'll just tweet when I want to talk about tech. Like, no, I'm just going to tweet whatever I want, and people can show up if they like. But I do try to, other than the Mexican pizza video I made the other day, which was for fun. If you saw that video, but yeah,
I was going to ask. I have not partaken in the new relaunch of the canceled Mexican pizza. Apparently, it went okay. How did it's
delicious. I had one for lunch today. I mean, I love these things, so that's why I had put up a poll a few weeks ago. I'm like, oh my gosh, the Mexican pizza's coming back. Who wants to see a video? Like, I'm secure enough in my channel. Like, if I want to make a video about a Mexican pizza, someone's going to show. Like, I don't care.
I was totally in. I watched all of it because it's funny because when my wife had told me that the Mexican pizza was being discontinued, I'm like, what?
I was heartbroken. I was very sad.
Right. Why not? And I apologize. We have a person from the UK, so I don't even. They have Taco Bells in the UK, correct?
I don't think so. Oh, maybe they do in London, maybe. I haven't really seen them.
I was in Barcelona and they had them in Spain. I would hope that in the UK somewhere there's a Taco Bell.
Right, so they have it's like a tostada basically, London. And it's got like cheese and some tomatoes and some refries. Yeah.
Sorry? Do you know what tostada is, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, basically what it is, it's a tostada. They put beans and ground meat with seasoning in between it. They put another tostada chip, just like a tostada sandwich, and they put this special tomato sauce on top and some cheese, and it's
I'm down
amazing.
with
It's
that.
like it's so
Sounds
good.
great.
It's
Jalapenos?
and then they decided one day it's like, you know what? Somebody at Taco Bell corporate's like, yeah, we'll just go ahead and stop making that.
Yeah.
Like one of the like greatest things they ever made. I was like, what is going on? It's fantastic.
Yeah, go watch my video. You can see exactly what it is.
Yeah, you should try to. I'll send you one. It's probably going to be a little dodgy by the time it gets to you, but you know, you should eat it anyway.
But yeah,
I'll still eat it. I'll still eat it.
When I sat down and I finally came down to the name Tech Odyssey, and it's funny because I have my Mario hat, which I don't have. It's over there. I'm not wearing it right now. Yeah, people know the Mario hat. So people think that my channel is called Tech Odyssey because Mario Odyssey came out like 8 months after I made my channel, and I'm like, okay, there's no correlation. They stole it from me. I made my channel, and it's based off of, if you've ever read the book with the Iliad, the Odyssey, that's kind of what it's about. It's a journey. Yeah, I want to talk about stuff and tell people about tech, and hopefully they'll learn something, or at least it's helpful if they show up if they're looking for the product. Because there are some people, there's a lot of different audiences that watch tech. There's people that want to watch it just because they like to know what's new. People that want to watch it because they're trying to make a buying decision, and then there's people that want to watch it because I don't know why. I mean, it's not for me.
I just want clarification that their phone's the best.
Right. Or
that's what it is. Confirmation bias. Or,
absolutely.
People will see something and honestly, they'll get triggered. or they might not get triggered, or they might have buyer's remorse and they want to get a validation. So they'll go out there and like, I'm going to watch this guy. There's a voice out there for everything. But I mean, hopefully I present a voice of, at least reasonableness is what I like to try and project. Like I don't try and sell people stuff. Right. It's not like, oh, go buy this phone. It's the greatest. If there's something that I love that's really good, I will try and tell people in the video, like, I really like this. But I don't tell people, like, oh, you should go buy this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're always very fair. Every video I've watched.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact
bullshit, that straight up.
Right. Exactly what to piggyback on what Joe just said. He likes like your approach is more like, I don't really know much about this phone. Even if I haven't already, like it's a Samsung or it's a Pixel that I've used before, but I'm trying to approach this from, I'm not trying to sell you, but this is the features and the things that you may find valuable in your day. Like I'm not trying to sell you on it, but here's the thing. If you value X, Y, Z capabilities of your phone or devices, this is the thing that it provides or doesn't provide for this reason. It's always, and also they're not long. 8 to 10 minutes, and I appreciate the fact that you're not trying to, and we had talked about this before the show, you're not trying to like pad a couple extra minutes in there, because I think people are smart enough to go, yeah, he's just basically talking on his rear end right now. He's just trying to pad this into.
Yeah, they'll tell you.
Well, that's what we do, Sam.
Oh yeah, very clearly.
The audience is a lot more intelligent than I think some people give them credit for. Sometimes they think that like, oh, it popped up, they'll watch it. There's different ways to keep people on your video. One, it can be really entertaining, which I'm not. I am not in the business of entertainment, and I don't have the aptitude for it. I just don't. That's why I can't do TikTok. I'm not one of those. I'm not just an innately entertaining person. Like you got to give me 5 minutes. Like if you can give me 5 minutes, I can get you to listen to me for half an hour. But it's that I'm not a hooky kind of person. So I don't. It doesn't matter if I put fancy B-roll in my video. It doesn't matter if I put all these graphics like MKBHD. That's not what people come to my videos for. That's not my strong suit. So you just have to play to your strong suit. And mine is just talking to people and telling them what I think and doing it in some sort of a logical, meaningful fashion, I think.
And I think people can tell that you have actually used the products. You've used the devices. Some people are talking on YouTube and you can tell they've not even used the phone.
Or if they've used it, it's been maybe a couple of days,
for 5 minutes,
hours here and there. Yeah, that's very, very limited use when they're making their comments.
And I hang on to them. Like I make videos throughout the year, so it's not like okay, I bought this video, I tested it out for a week, I made a video so I could get my clicks, and I return it. Most of my AdSense revenue goes to buying new phones, so it's like I'm just continually feeding the machine. And I've got like the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III. I've got the 1 Mark IV on the way. I've got the Fold 3, the Z Flip 3, the iPhone 13 Pro, the SE. I've got all these phones that you go back and see that there are videos about. I have like all these phones sitting around because I like to make a 3 month later video or a 6 month later video. Or if something pops up in the news, like, hey, the Android 13 of it is available now. Let me go tell people that. So it's one of those things where it's kind of been a moving target, because when my channel first started, it was like, okay, review. And then I'm like, I'm really limiting my availability to talk to my viewers and to get the message out there that I want by saying everything is a review. Everything's not a review. A lot of people, if they see a video, they think it's a review. But I'll have selected topics now, or I'm like, look, I have something coming out, or there's something that's important that I think people need to know about. I'll sit down and I make a 5 or 6 minute video about it. So that's one of the great things I have with my channel, is the latitude to make kind of whatever I want at a relevant time and put it out. And then also it's a low production value. So I sit down, I talk, I get my message out, and it's out the next day. And that's just kind of how it works.
Quick fire.
Well, also too is you're prolific, right? You're putting out videos constantly. You're constantly engaging on you. I mean, Twitter. I mean, I don't even use Twitter that much, but every time I say, here's a comment from Adam, and I know we had a discussion that kind of was like, he's talking about Mexican pizza, or he's talking about, or topics that are more kind of relevant to the time. Not even tech, really, just kind of like just Adam talking at Adam Matlock. All right. So
honestly, that's what my channel should have been called. Is just called Adam Talking.
Yeah. Adam speaks, right? Adam tells you what the scoop is. Right. So, and I also want to mention to anybody who may not be, I know you have a military background. So again, we are actually one day from Memorial Day. So again, for me, I appreciate your service. Thank you for your contribution to the country's defense and everything else. And like I said, and then also, so my question really is, you're a lawyer. So my question is, with other people who are like having channels that maybe they're trying to leverage that channel into like something that's successful, like when you started your channel, I mean, we were talking about it, but like, what are you looking like? What does Tech Odyssey look like in the next 36 months? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, what are your thoughts about that? I just want to kind of pick your brain, because you're approaching it from a little different perspective than most of our tech YouTubers. You have a pretty successful career. So how does that look for you long term?
Yeah. So if you want to tune out for a few minutes, you can, but I'm going to go on a monologue here. But so
sounds good. That's what we're here for. We are here.
That's why you're here.
So let it rip, sir. We're all ears.
So yeah, so I joined the military when I was 17. I was homeschooled. I never went to public school, and I graduated high school 3 years early. I went to college. I started college when I was 15.
Wow.
First day of college. Well, first day of college I was 15. Second day I was 16, because Martin Luther King Jr. Day fall in between my day of the first day of school and second day. So I was like, yeah, first day of school, I'm 15. And it was funny because when I started college at the community college down the street, they had an early admission program. Our English teacher, because I signed up for English, I only took a few classes the first semester, but he wanted us to write like a little personal essay about, kind of our background or whatever. And I did that. I wrote my little 1-page essay our first day. The second day of class, I show up, and as soon as class is over, my instructor, he stops me and he's like, hey, I just want to talk to you for a minute. I was reading your little essay and you wrote that you were 15 years old. I'm like, yeah. I was like, well, I'm 16 now. My birthday was yesterday. He's like, oh, happy birthday. Come with me down to the dean's office. So we go down to the dean's office, and he's like, is he supposed to be in my class? Because
did he sneak in here? It's like, what the hell?
They're like, no, he's registered. He's supposed to be there. So have fun. So I did that for 3 semesters. And then I ended up joining the military at 17. I did get my parents to sign for me, and I signed up. And it was funny. I actually signed up before 9/11. I enlisted July 25th, 2001. So it was a completely different world when I enlisted.
Absolutely.
Not knowing what was going to happen in 6 weeks. And then that was all craziness. But yeah, I did 16 and a half years active duty, basically. I was in the Air National Guard, but I was in a program that's called Active Guard and Reserve. So full-time paycheck, full-time work. I just was assigned to my base. I didn't get moved around. So I worked at the base 15 minutes down the street from my house for 16 years. So it was great. But yeah, I deployed a lot of times, three deployments, lots of just contingency stuff. But after 16 years, they're like, because I was military police the entire time I was in, they're like, you're too banged up. So we're going to just retire you 3 years early. So I got medically retired 3 years early because I couldn't deploy anymore because I was too banged up. Like I could do my job, but they couldn't send me anywhere.
Right.
So so that was that. And I had been going to law school the last 4 years I was in the military. So this was before I knew what was going to happen down the road, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I had started law school and I was working in the military from 6 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. And then I would drive downtown to downtown Houston to go to class from 5:45 till 9:45 at night, 4 days a week.
Wow.
And then I would come home and study till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then rinse and repeat and do it again the next day. But fortunately I was in my last year. I was just about to graduate when they're like, yeah, we're going to retire you. And I passed the bar and like a month before I retired, and then started doing my legal career, which you were talking about $350 an hour earlier. I really, if I made $350 an hour, I probably wouldn't be making videos every day because I would be probably doing like 60 hours, 60, 70 billable hours a week. But
exactly. Well, my former divorce attorney was a really good dude. Actually was clearing close to $285 an hour. He actually did me a favor because his regular rate was $350. He did it for me for $285 because he liked me. Okay.
Kind of a misconception. I think some people are like, okay, you make $300 an hour. Like, well, when I work, but a lot of attorneys, like, you have to get a lot of people paying you that kind of money.
Right.
It's like if you get one client, okay, you might be getting $350 an hour. You might only be doing 4 hours of work for them. So just to place, that's one of the reasons. But also you have overhead. A lot of people that do that, they've got a paralegal, they got a secretary, they got office space. I mean, it's not just like you're pocketing $350 an hour. But I'm not really into the rat race of life. I went to law school. I specialized in contracts, and I also specialized. Okay. You don't specialize in law school, but you take extra classes in areas that you have interest in. So, actually, I was only one class away from getting a contract specialization certificate with my law degree, but I did contracts and tax. And specifically, I helped with my law school. We set up the first low-income taxpayer clinic at a university in the state of Texas. So I went to South Texas College of Law, and now they actually have a low-income taxpayer clinic. People who are underneath 250% of the federal poverty guidelines can get help for free with their tax issues. So we help people with their cases and controversies before the IRS. But in layman's terms, it means you got a letter in the mail and you owe them money. So people that end up in that position, and that's what I do. So I don't work there, but I was there. I was there with we set it up that semester and started onboarding clients. And then I got a job. I actually worked with the law firm that's a nonprofit law firm where that's what I do. I'm a public interest attorney. So I help people with their IRS problems 5 days a week. So I do that. And then I make videos at night for tech stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at. The reason yes, there's a lot of sensationalism. If I had an attorney channel right now and I were covering the Amber Heard case, I'd have probably 200,000 subscribers. I've seen some people out there that have blown up from 100,000 to 500,000 subscribers in the matter of
Emily Baker. That's the only way I can think of.
Emily Baker, yeah.
She's fantastic anyway. But definitely the timing of that trial definitely helped because of engagement with the public for sure.
Oh, for sure. She does amazing work, but my heart, my interest just isn't in that. I started my channel to do tech stuff, and that's what I like doing. If I were doing work and then turning around making a channel about that work and continually. The legal world is a very stressful place, and you got to be on your P's and Q's. I'm not going to sit there and talk about something that maybe I've got a bad take on it. Maybe I just didn't understand the statute that well, or maybe they're talking about different law. It might not be here in Texas. I'm licensed in Texas. I don't know anything about this stuff somewhere else. So it's nothing. It's why I didn't ever get a job in tech, because I started building computers when I was 11, 12 years old. I've been building computers for forever. I build them all. Right. And I used to do that. My buddy has a managed services company for computer stuff. I used to help him on the side for years. I like that stuff, but I don't want it to be a job. And that's why I never went to school for computer stuff, because I don't want to turn my hobby into a job that what I do for a living.
Yeah, I can imagine that if you would be, practicing law all day, or and then try to get off that and then have a whole channel that just talks about nothing but legal aspects. So it's you got to think about all the dynamics, and you got to read up on cases, and you got to stay on top of it. You got to
they'd be sitting there all day trying to watch the video. I'm like,
make informed opinions and
today.
Well, it's here's why your iPhone sucks. That's a more fun video to make, or whatever. In the blank.
I have a lot of opinions about that too, and it's an outlet fee. And sometimes, I have these LED lights that are behind me. And sometimes if it's a rant subject, I'll turn the lights red, so people automatically know.
Well, I was going to ask you, because I noticed the light schematics change with your video. So I'm and I've noticed, and I wasn't 100% sure, but I'm I noticed that when Adam gets a little edgy, and you kind of want to throw a couple zingers out there. The lights are more of a red kind of amber color. I was like, I wonder if that's on
Red
purpose.
alert.
So I'm glad you clarified that, because I was like,
some people have. Some people are like, oh, the red lights are on.
Oh, here it comes. Yeah, get ready.
I
Get your
can go on.
popcorn, right?
I can have a prolific rant. I mean, I can rant, but I try not to do that all the time, because then people are like, you're too angry.
Right. You have issues, Adam. You need to really.
No, it's good to do it though. It's entertaining.
Yeah,
I love to see your rants.
I feel like a lot of the times though, whenever I do turn the red light on and I do have a rant, I feel like I'm in tune enough with my audience that a lot of them feel the same way. Like if I go out there and I'm just railing about something and people are like, you're way out in left field, dude. And then they turn it off after 30 seconds. Like,
yeah, like I can't get down with that kind of thing. Right.
Yeah. If I'm going to sit
or
down,
at least they can think, I can understand where he's coming from. Even if they don't agree, I'll be like, oh yeah, I can see where he's coming from.
Yeah. So if I were to sit down and have a conversation with my audience, because that's what I consider them, it's a conversation. If I'm going to sit there, I'm going to rant about something. I need to be on point. It's not. I try to make sure that okay, my people are on the same page. Like like they're sitting there nodding with me, saying, "Yeah, that's ridiculous."
Right. I was like, wait. And I guess what I was going to ask is, sometimes you create videos knowing that they may kind of stir the pot a bit, and you may get some feedback, whether it's engagement feedback or maybe people who want to kind of go toe to toe with you and go, hey, Adam, I think you're dead wrong, and here's why. Like, I guess my question is, when you're thinking about videos, do you think that far ahead, or is it like, I'm just going to put out content, what's there, and if it engages, or if it's controversial, or it kind of like moves the needle where people want to kind of give me maybe some back and forth? I'm curious, is that on purpose, or is that just kind of like a byproduct of your content?
If there's anything that's controversial, it's usually a byproduct, not an intention. I don't set out to make content that is controversial. I try to do stuff that's informative and it's engaging. And sometimes, I'll have a certain angle on something. Like whenever the Tab S7 FE came out, I was calling it the Tab S7 FU. Because I felt like it's like the brand is shooting the middle finger at people, because when the first tablet came out, they had the Tab S7 FE. They only put the 5G version out first, but the 5G version was an older chipset. It was only like the 750G versus the Wi-Fi, which was a 778, which was technically a better tablet. And they were only put out the 5G version first. They didn't advertise that they had different chipsets on them. So you had no way of knowing in case you actually went in and looked at them. And they even actually said the same chipset on their website, which they subsequently updated after a few days because some other people called them out on as well. But I looked at that from the get-go. I'm like, they're selling you a more dated processor, which the 778 is perfectly capable of having a 5G modem. So they're selling you this one first. They're charging you more money for it. They're not telling you that it has a different chipset. And then the one with the better chipset is actually Wi-Fi only, not 5G, and it's not coming out for 2 months. So they can milk all the sales off of this one and get them off the shelf first. So I was like, I'm not cool with that. So that's why I call it that. Yeah. But then I told people, I said, look, this is no bearing whatsoever on how well this tablet will perform. I'm sure it will perform just fine. If you buy it, I'm sure that you'll like it. I'm sure that there are some people who might be interested in this, but I have to tell you, from a marketing and a business perspective, I think this is a giant middle finger to the consumer because they think you're stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's good to highlight that.
Or like the fact that they don't, it's like, we can pretty much sell you whatever we would like to sell you.
Exactly. And I'm like,
and you're just going to have to take it because it's a Samsung device. And so you're going to buy it no matter what we really do.
Yeah, so that was my perspective on it. But then I subsequently did make a video about it. And I'm like, look, this tablet will be good at about $400, like not $629. If you can get this tablet 3 or 4 months later, it will inevitably go on sale. Get the Wi-Fi version, get it cheaper, and this will be a good tablet for you. But at this price, the way they're handling this, no, I do not buy this right now. But I did buy the Wi-Fi one when it came out. I did review it. I did say a lot of nice things about it. And I try to keep the two, because I'll make opinionated reviews about Google. I'll make opinionated reviews about Samsung and how they do business, not just particularly about one product or not. And I make jokes all the time because I think, I tell people, as long as I'm still on Team Pixel and I haven't been kicked off yet.
I was going to say your Team Pixel as well still.
Yeah, like I don't really hold punches when it comes to my opinions on stuff.
I think they respect that though. I think they do respect that.
Well, and I think you approach it from and not just like a bias. Like I hate it just because I mean I think they realize if you're making some kind of like negative feedback or like constructive feedback that it comes from an A of I've used the device, this is what I see, this is how I see it. Like you're not just basically firing from the hip and just kind of basically being, well, I don't really care because I don't like the product, so I'm just
you can do that. And some people have done that before, and you can have like this flagrancy about it where you're like, oh, this and that. Like if I say something, it's usually from a constructive place. Usually I'm very explicit with exactly why I feel this way and what the problem is. And I try to be fair about stuff. I'm not just like Samsung is a piece of trash and they're trying to take everybody's money. Like, no, it's not about that whatsoever. It's about helping people make educated decisions with their money so that they can get the best product available for them, or at least learn about it so they can make an informed decision. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. And then and Fry's asking a question, because how do you feel about the new that's in quotes, Tab S6 Lite? A bit more expensive, but it has all the same specs of the Snapdragon chip. Have you been able to dive into that product and be able to talk about that?
This one I haven't. I actually saw the other day that my buddy Ivan Cam, he's like the Samsung tablet master when it comes to making YouTube videos. Okay. I would encourage you to have a look at his video. I have not formulated an opinion on it because I've been completely inundated with phones here lately. Like I've had like 5 show up in the last 2 weeks. So I saw the updated Tab S6 Lite. The original one I did buy. I thought it was a great product. I thought that for the value and what you got for it, for people, it was filling a spot in the lineup that just wasn't there, because it was either you buy a flagship Samsung or you buy an iPad. That was really all that was available out there. So when they came out with the S6 Lite, I'm like, this is great. Couple $100, you get an S Pen with it, and it's got a very capable chipset, so you can do day-to-day business on it. That's what people want. So to see them go ahead and do that now, it makes me curious if we're going to get a Tab S8 Lite, which I'm sure we probably will, or an FE is what they're probably going to call it. I don't expect to see a lot more of these Lite videos. I know there's more shutdown stuff right now. There's going to be more supply chain issues when it comes to silicon. So I think they wanted to squeak this one out while they've got a surplus of probably Snapdragon chips. I think that probably it's going to be good. It's just a matter of, does it fit in your price point and your use case scenario, where maybe an S7 FE might not, or maybe you could get an S7 Plus, S7 that's still very good tablet, supported for very many years. And then there's the S8, which you can get good deals on. So with Samsung, it's always a moving target, because they put a product out and then the next month it might be discounted 30%.
Right. Or like within 6 weeks. Yeah.
I can say I liked your recent video saying about the discounts. The trading discounts were awesome.
That's one of the things with Samsung. They will guaranteed have some sort of a deal at launch, and then they'll have something 3 weeks later where you don't get the extra frills, but you'll get a lower price point. And then within a couple of months, they're going to sell more. And actually right now, Samsung has actually decreased their forecast on for producing phones by 10%, from like 320 million down to like 290 or something like that.
Pretty big.
Yeah, 10% pullback on their production forecast. So I'm expecting they're going to be trying to aggressively move stuff, because they're going to want people to move over to the S23 when it comes to the spring. So especially with no fall note release, they're going to have to be creative to try and move this stuff, because right now nobody's buying stuff.
Right.
Right now, everybody's stuff, like even Apple, they had projected, I think, an extra 20 million surplus on what they were going to sell this year, and now they're looking at like breaking even. So it's a difficult time. I think a lot of people thought we were going to be at a better place now, which we started to be in a better place, and then things flared up over in China again, and it's a lot more lockdowns over there, back in the same place we were 2 years ago,
right?
In the supply chain sector. So it's gonna put a hamper on. They're even talking about the iPhone being a couple of weeks delayed now already. So it's buy what you can that fits in your budget, and just wait. These brands are going to have to try and sell stuff. So if they're eventually going to have a sale.
Yeah, big time.
And here's a DT reading my mind, and DT's in the show.
Yeah, he beat me
friend
to it.
Friend of the show. So I know that you were really kind of you had some, I don't know if an inside track would be the right way to describe it, with onward mobility, right? You had some, and then all of a sudden it seems like they kind of was like, okay, we're not making the BlackBerry anymore. It's like, what the hell? It's like, we were waiting for that to come. And then you got the Unihertz, so you're trying to leverage that. And I'm a big BlackBerry. I had a Key 2 LE and a regular Key 2, and I love those devices. And so I was going to kind of ask you, like, how did that whole on-mobility? Because I couldn't swear to it because I didn't have a chance to talk to you, but I was like kind of feeling like the on-mobility thing was like a go, and all of a sudden they kind of went and pulled the rug out. And you're like,
that's
what the hell happened, man?
Yeah, that's essentially what happened. And I've had a lot of people warn me to make a video about this. I really don't feel like – I feel like to make a video about this whole process doesn't do anything but just pour salt in a wound. And I don't really want – like, there's a lot of business stuff ongoing in the back end that – yeah, I had a non-disclosure agreement with on-mobility, but the thing is that was an extension also through BlackBerry. And BlackBerry is a very, very sue-happy company, whether it means anything or not. Like, they sue a lot. I mean, I'm not particularly worried because I'm not going to say anything I'm not supposed to. But ultimately, everything was a go. The problem was they tried to launch the phone, and then there was it was financing stuff. What happened was basically all the money and everything was online to get started, and then it just went flatlined. So they were basically trying for the longest time to try and get the machine started to start pushing the phones out, but they needed income for that. Well, things were looking positive, but the problem was it took 2 years, and then BlackBerry basically is like, look, you haven't delivered, so we're yanking the license.
It seems like BlackBerry, like with the Sue Happy and that kind of response, you would think that do you really want to get your license out there? Do you want it to be engaging?
Well, I think they didn't. I think that they didn't. I think when they originally were supposed to come out, they did. But things have changed so much with BlackBerry over the last 2 years. We went through the meme stock where, it went from $4 to like $14, and it got lumped in with the AMCs and all the other ones. There was a lot of stuff going on, but they really, really, really want people to know that, hey, look, we're a software and security services company now. We're not a phone company. And they've been saying that for years. But yes, I think that they were keen once TCL, like that whole thing fell apart. I think they wanted a partner because I believe John Chen has said he thinks there's a place for physical keyboards. He wishes that he had one. I mean, he said that in a meeting before. I mean, it's not private information, but I think that they thought that probably by that point that the brand and the name had been so tarnished because it had taken so long, and then they were just I think they just wanted to it's not worth it at this point.
Yeah,
maybe at some point in time somebody else comes along that has some money and has a really good idea and like wants to make a keyboard phone. But I think that they looked at, look, this is how things are going. These other brands are not selling. These other phones are having problems. LG is exiting the phone business. Like right now, I think they probably thought if we put the phone out, it's probably not going to be a success. I mean that.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, you got HTC, and somebody's been a comment about HTC, Google buying their IP. LG is kind of out of the market. So really, you're kind of like starting to kind of all these really energetic OEMs that were kind of bringing different things into the space are kind of starting to kind of like fall by the wayside. And now we're getting to really a Google, Apple, Samsung world.
We went through this. We went through this in the early teen years, like 2012 and 2014. Back then, you had HTC, you had LG, and they were such major players. You had Motorola, who wasn't owned by Lenovo. You had Lenovo. You had Sharp, even selling the Aquos phone here in the U.S. You had BlackBerry. And then BlackBerry, of course, making BlackBerry 10 devices and Android devices. You had Windows machines. You had the Windows phones. There was so much stuff going on, and then it's like we had a contraction. There was just too much. It wasn't sustainable. People were kind of picking a lane that they wanted to go in. And it seemed at the time to be kind of Android, Apple, and then maybe a few people in the business world still wanting BlackBerry. And then that one fell apart. And then it was like, okay, now HTC's out of the picture. Now LG's out of the picture. Now, like there's so many brands that have either consolidated or are gone now. Even look at Nokia, which they are kind of trying to make phones now, but they disappeared for a while and then reimagined themselves with Android because Windows Mobile went away. So I think we're kind of at a place like that again. But not because people don't want them, but because the market is so saturated. Because 5-6 years
Massively.
ago, it was like, where do we sell these phones? And then like, okay, well, we'll target Malaysia, Indonesia, we'll target India, billion consumer market there. Well, Apple will try and permeate China. So there's been so much of just, it's like people searching for oil nowadays. They're like, okay, we need to find new oil reserves. We need to find new reserves where people are trying to buy phones and they just don't exist anymore because the planet's covered with smartphones now.
Right. And
I wanted to ask, what's your thoughts on foldables?
Yeah, not necessarily foldables, but obviously I still have and I'm still using.
Mine's inside next to my bed. I love that phone. I mean, I've got my Z Flip 3 right here. I'm 100% on board with foldables. Foldables are exciting, where normal phones are not exciting. And the thing is, there's also exclusivity. It was like when the iPhone first came out. A lot of people couldn't afford or didn't place the value in a $700, $600 phone. When the iPhone came out, you had to put down like $400 at AT&T to even get one, so you could finance it for 2 years. It wasn't one of those.
I remember.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah,
it was crazy. And people are like, I'm not paying that. Why do I need internet on my phone? Why do I want a touchscreen? So it took a few years for people to catch on to that. They didn't know what they needed yet. And I don't think foldables create quite that same buzz. There was the exclusivity, like, this is cool, I want one, I can't afford one. It kind of permeates a lot of that intrigue and interest, because if everybody could afford one, it would be a different story. They'd be everywhere.
I think question marks over the durability as well.
There are question marks, and I don't think they're for everybody yet. There are still people complaining about, oh, my Fold 3 screen, or my Fold 2 screen, or my Flip 3 screen. We're not 100% there yet, but we are at 100% where a company that can replace them or fix them if there's a catastrophic failure can. So it's a matter of building confidence and permeability, because you have to try and get those out into people's hands. So that was like what I saw with phase 3, the Z Flip. The Z Flip 3 is a lot more consumer friendly than the Fold. The Fold is big, it's gigantic. Most women don't want it. This is something that's neat and easy. It looks cute compared to the more less refined design of the Z Flip and the Z Flip 5G. So I think we're in the right place. It's just a matter of, we need more companies to make them. We need to get the price lower, and we need to get them out in more people's hands. So, and with that also, there will be more durability. There will be more changes that happen, because as you build something more and more, you get better and better at it. So we went from a $1,449 Z Flip 5G to a $999 Z Flip 3. I fully expect there to be I thought about this before, because Apple likes to make their FE edition phones. It would not surprise me at all if they make a $999 or an $899 Flip 4, and then maybe we see some sort of an FE edition that might be like a refurb Z Flip 3 with a better screen for like maybe a $699 at some point, to try and draw more people in. But
make it more accessible.
Yeah, they pushed really hard to get the Z Flip 3 into people's hands, and of course they did, because Samsung is the only one, and the Motorola Razer hasn't had anything in almost 2 years, which we're expecting a Razer 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Razer 3 is kind of on
Razer.
the
I was
horizon.
looking at them though.
I don't know. It sounds like if the early information is correct, that may be a pretty. I know the difference between the Razer 1 and the Razer 2 was pretty marketable. I mean, there was a really good improvement between them.
Yeah, the Razer 5G. I was very skeptical about it. I thought they were charging way too much money for outdated hardware, but the experience was just so good. I ended up getting one like 6 months later, used for like $400 on eBay, and I fell in love with it. It's such a good phone. So I'm expecting good things out of the Razer 3, but I expect it to be more money than the Samsung, and that's what's going to be hard, because
it's a stumbling block for a lot of people.
I think technically the Razer 3, just as this is a projection moving forward, I think that it's going to be a better phone from probably an experience wise than the Z Flip 4, but I think it's going to cost more money, so less people are going to be inclined to buy it, because Samsung is a machine, and they're going to find ways to get the Z Flip 4 in your pocket for $200, and they're going to give you a watch.
Well, plus they can leverage trade-in deals. They can leverage device trade-ins. They can give bundles. I mean, they can. And also, here's the thing that they do, and I swear to God, nobody understands this. Like I argue this. the three major manufacturers in smartphones have advertisements everywhere. I saw a Pixel ad the other day. I saw a Samsung ad the other day. I saw an Apple ad, which is funny because really Apple doesn't have to advertise anymore. You could sell 17 million iPhones and you don't have to an iPhone ad ever again. But it's just like, you know, I have my Duo 2. I take it out in public and people don't even know it exists. Like they say to me, "Oh, I had a nice. Oh, is that one of those foldable Samsungs?" So no, it's got a service logo on it. And they're like, "Oh shit, Samsung makes phones or Microsoft." I'm like, they actually made phones at Windows Phone, but nobody bought them, right? And I would make the argument that from a UI perspective, Windows Phone was my 950 literally has, Windows Hello. It had Cortana. This is a 2015 device, and then as far as feature sets, it delivers was a fantastic phone. So it's funny. It's like the three major OEMs that are really kind of like the front runners: Samsung, Apple, Google, are the ones that really put ads in people's faces. People know of those OEMs, and I still think that
stuff costs money. And if you look at where those guys are, certification wise, and the largest companies in the world, they can afford to do it. Like they can spend
Microsoft for sure
on advertising. Like their point is not to make money. I mean, ultimately it is, but their point is to get the product in your hand more so than it is to make money on the front end necessarily. Like if they can get you locked into their ecosystem, or they can get you locked in, if you buy a phone, well, they'll go buy the watch, or they'll go buy the tablet, or they'll go buy the laptop, or they'll go buy they will make more money just getting the phone in your hand at a lower margin than they will look, we have to sell this to be profitable, or we can't make a phone next year. A lot of these different ones. So, but you look at a lot of it though, and I think that the strategic long-term plans are different. I mean, because a lot of people laughed at Apple years ago when they're like, "Oh, we're going to focus more on services." Is like, what's a phone service? Like, we just sell them a phone, and then they're like, "Oh, well, here we'll double down on iMessage. We've got Apple Pay. We've got our own credit card. We've got Apple TV, Apple Fitness, like all that stuff." You can't pry an apple out of someone's cold dead hand.
Like Steve Ballmer making the comment, like the Mount famous comment talking about iPhone, and it's like somebody's gonna be, and he blew it off like it was no big deal. It's like, boy, and it's like now he's like, I think he would probably care the fact that he made a really
so not only has Apple found a way to charge you $1,000 for a phone, they're also getting $30 a month from you just to use the phone, and you don't even realize it. So
and I think it's because Apple has transcended. It's no longer just tech. It's literally a lifestyle. It is fashionable.
Definitely.
It is literally like you're not cool if you're not rocking an iPhone. And I think they have clearly crushed that segment of the marketing market.
And that's what
they've been
Google's
incredibly smart.
Like Google's trying to connect those dots. Samsung has been throwing darts at the board trying to figure out how to connect the dots, and they haven't done it yet. But at least they're in the same. They're not like they might not be in the same ballpark, but they're like the bat boy over by the dugout. Like they're trying.
Right, exactly.
But then you get people like, okay, with the Surface Duo, or people with the Motorola Razer, or with these other phones, they're trying to sell you a phone and hoping that phone experience makes you happy. Whereas you're buying an iPhone, you're buying into a lot of stuff that can really be implemented into your day-to-day life, connected to other devices. Like there's no such thing as Motorola Pay. I mean, there's not Windows Pay. Like people aren't applying for a Goldman Sachs card for their phone that they can share with their kids, that they can use on their phone when they go buy an ice cream cone. I mean, it's the proliferation into your day-to-day life with Apple makes it really hard for somebody to leave that, because you have to be so anti-Apple or so I'm bored with the status quo that you're willing to leave all of that to go try a different phone. So that's 40% of the 50% of the phone market in the US.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What upsets me with Huawei, I really thought they could be the one to do it until they got banned, obviously.
Right, and then it's funny that a political situation kind of derailed that, because really, even Huawei now, their ecosystem services are pretty good inside of China, right? So I mean, it's like it's funny how a political situation kind of derails a really good option for consumers.
It wouldn't surprise me if in the next 3 to 5 years, because I know it takes a long time to build that stuff, and Huawei stepped back and they're like, look, we're going to try and build our own operating system.
Right, Harmony.
It's a lot, Harmony. It's a lot to try and replace. It's not, when you're trying to replace Google, you're not just replacing Android. You're trying to replace all the Google services and systems on the back end, all
Mhm.
the stuff that makes Android what it is. So you're having to build everything from the ground up to interact and use all the network stuff, the GPS stuff, the app stuff, even compatibility, because you can't even access all those cool apps that everybody wants to use. It's like
Yeah.
starting from scratch. So if anybody
Yeah.
can do it, it's Huawei. And I would certainly love to see if they make a resurgence, because back when the Huawei, what was it, the P30 Pro came out, that was light years ahead of what we were getting with Samsung. Like, they made Samsung look like chumps with
Right.
the P30, the P40 Pro. Yeah, write it like their apex when they were getting ready to make that next move. It went.
Yep. Here's
and
my P30, and I'm not getting rid of it. Running
that P30 right
Harmony
there.
OS. I love this phone. I use this constantly it's my secondary device to my Duo too. Basically.
The P30 Pro, I would still put that up today against almost maybe even a Pixel phone or a Samsung. Like, it takes some amazing photos
and such
Yeah,
great
definitely.
hardware and software. It was just like
such a good
so
camera.
good. Yeah, absolutely.
Not just the computational photography stuff, the Google voodoo that's permeated into what smartphone cameras are nowadays, but an actual real good photo with good hardware.
Right. And I wanted to ask
Like,
you
it was
real quick,
impressive
too, because we're also part of the Purposely Pixel, YouTube channel. You got the new Google Pixel 7's coming out, the 6A's coming out. I know you've done some videos about that, and the Pixel Watch. It's like, my question would be is, if Adam were a regular guy just buying a phone, what would you be in on the Pixel? Would you be excited about these content? I mean, I know it's hard to step back as like a content creator and kind of like a tech guy, but do you think Pixel's really making a good approach as far as the watch, the 6A, the 7, those kinds of things? Do you think that they're trying to kind of create that? Like, what are your thoughts about current Pixel approach in 2022 going into
I think that they should have had this approach 5 years ago. The biggest frustration
definitely.
that I've had with Google is they're like the third richest company in the world, and they treat their smartphone division like it's Nokia. Like, how are you not funneling billions of dollars in this so you can get these out there, take a loss on it? Like, take a loss, because you're going to make up for it on the back end. Get these things in people's hands. Give them the watch. It's like Google treats their phones like it's a Kickstarter. They're like, oh, here, we'll make this tablet. And then 6 months later, okay, the tablet's dead. We're not doing this anymore. Or they made all that hardware, and they made a big push a few years ago, absent the watch. But when they came out with the Pixel Book was really cool. But they wanted like $7 or $8.99 for a stinking M3 core processor. I'm like, you guys are missing the boat here. How do you have all these engineers and all this money, and you're so stupid? So
that's fair.
That is a fair criticism. I agree.
Google has enough money to fix the problem, yet they don't, and they've allowed it to get to the point where now people are so cynical about the idea of them making a watch. Like, well, yeah, you let Apple sell 300 million watches already. Why are you going to wait for them to be 8 miles ahead of you before you start the machine? So
now you got the Galaxy, the watch, the Watch 4, which is I've seen the
people
feedback.
like it. It's good.
Very, very positive.
So that's my whole point, is they could have done this a long time ago, and why they chose to drag their feet on this, I really don't know, because they were in a good position. The hardware has been good. You make Android, for Pete's sake.
It's your jam, right?
Where else is yours as well?
That's my biggest frustration. Now, the Pixel 6, absolutely love the 6 and 6 Pro. Fortunately, I didn't experience a lot of problems with it, but the problems it has had, there have been a lot of problems with the phone.
Yeah.
But the problem, not so much with the hardware as it is Android 12 wasn't ready. Android 12 was not ready at all. It was like embarrassing when they released it. I mean, it had catastrophic failure on OnePlus. They had to pull back the release and re-release it later. Even problems with Samsung and One UI 4 and Android 12. Android 12 was not ready, and that just compounded the problems. And then I think they underestimated how different it was going to be to optimize everything for the Tensor chip and also the previous Snapdragon chips.
I think that is the point, that we're not into a Snapdragon. We are into a Tensor chip, and I don't think they really kind of I don't think
No.
they anticipated how the hardware was going to not work with the software. And
So
Yeah,
and with we'll look at the Pixel 4 XL, the Soli radar, right? Remember the first like 3 or 4 months, you couldn't verify any banking apps with the Soli radar. It wasn't.
Well, that was the same way.
So
there was growing pains with Face ID. It was the same way. I mean,
right,
there were
Pixels. Google's really never 100%. It seems like they always are kind of like one step behind. Like with any device they come up with, even when they think you would think
they're too quick to drop things.
Right,
they come up with a good idea and then they just leave it.
They kind of trying to trip over their own feet a little bit. Yeah, so this isn't the first time that Pixel. So I think it's getting better, but I think the 6A might be a pretty good at $449. That's a pretty good device for $449 for Americans, right?
Well, not so even much the US, because a lot of people, what you're going to find in the US with the Pixel 6A, the Pixel 6 is almost 8 months old. So you're going to find probably similar carrier deals where you could get a better phone. A lot of people are not going and spending $450. The Pixel 6A, the big thing that people need to look for that is adoptability in India, where this is the first Google Pixel phone that's going to be launching there in over 2 years.
Right. Which I think is interesting. I'm curious what your thoughts about, like, why do you think that it was intentional on Pixel? It's like, we need to get into India because that's a huge market that's very spec conscious.
They needed to be in India 3 years ago. I mean,
again, why is Pixel like behind the ball like 5 and 3 and 4 years? Like, I don't understand.
BlackBerry was one of the first companies to address that and move into India in 2014, 2015. They recognized it as an emerging market to the point that they actually sold a license to Optimus in India, and also with a Indonesian or Malaysian company, Maraputa, to design their own actual BlackBerries for that region. So, yeah, they're very, very far behind the power curve. But yeah, I mean, there's a billion people there, but they're all holding iPhones, Redmi's, Xiaomi's, Samsung's, and
everything else that has basically permeated Redmi's that are permeating the market. And I think
needed to do. See, 4 or 5 years ago, people were clamoring in these areas for these phones. And then that's where Xiaomi came up, and they're like, okay, we've got Xiaomi for China, we've got Redmi, we've got Poco phone, all these different native ones. And now I'm like, I got this amazing Realme GT3 Neo Naruto Special Edition for $400.
I saw that. I was like, oh,
that phone blows so many of these other phones out of the water for $400.
I'm on AT&T, so I'm whitelisted, so I can't use any of that stuff.
I'm using it on
T-Mobile. That's
another discussion for another day. But I think it's funny. I think, Adam, next time you come on the show, which I hope you'd like to come on again, I think next time this entire show, you'll probably have to turn the red light on just the entire time.
Oh, definitely.
We're definitely picking your brain, and you're kind of on these rants.
We want you back on with the red light.
I will tell you that I have looked forward to this discussion for months, actually. Trying to get
likewise, yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess Lenny talked to me when I was at that Pixel event in New York, and he's like, yeah, you got to come on the podcast. I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, hit me up. I'm pretty available. But as you can see, I have a lot of feelings about a lot of different things. So
it's good. It's great.
Well, I like that because it means that, it's like you're also you're engaged, not only, technology, but you're also engaged emotionally, but also you're willing to put it out there like, hey, I'm going to make a stand on this is how I feel about a device, and I'm willing to die on that hill and make the defense on why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like, you're not just putting it out there just kind of like, and I make the argument that Marquez, and as much as I love his channel, him's coming on there and saying that the Surface Duo 2 is arguably a worse phone. I'm like, how can you objectively say that if you've used the phone for more than 10 seconds? I'm like, I saw that. I was like,
you can't have been as mad as Sam was. Boy.
I literally was like, how can you literally say that? So I
made a whole video. I made a whole video about that statement.
I know. And I was like, Team Adam, like I already was. It was already kind of a thing, right?
Well, I was like, how can you sit here with a straight face and say that the Duo, the original Duo, is better than the Duo 2? Like, you clearly didn't use the Duo very much. And then what also frustrated me, all these people, and I have a lot of respect for Michael Fisher with Mr. Mobile.
I love Mr. Mobile.
He came back and made that follow-up video because all of those guys that made those original videos made it on pre-production software, and none of them would even admit that or even talk about it. But day one, the Surface Duo 2 launch, was a 700 meg update. Day two, there was another 260 meg update. The phone that consumers got the day of or the day after were substantially better than the experience they had for the weeks leading up to that. and nobody addressed that. So they were just like, "Oh, this phone sucks." I'm like, "No, this phone
It's so
doesn't."
unfair, though, isn't it?
No, and I think that, like you said, we talked at the beginning of the show about confirmation bias. I think that's what it is. They had already made in their mind that the Duo is not a viable product for any people. It's like, well, I'll tell you right now, I still use this every day, and I will tell you, I get more questions, feedback about this device than any device I've ever used in my whole life. And I'm telling you right now, is it perfect? No, but boy, it can do things that other phones cannot do. So
I love the Surface Duo. I think that it has a place at the table, and I'm glad that Microsoft hasn't abandoned it. Even with as bad as the first one was, which largely is much better now. You could go get a Surface Duo now, pay $300 for it.
About $300, yeah.
Good experience. It's a pretty good experience. But when it comes to the Duo 2, the biggest problem was it was priced outside of normal people's price range. But the whole thing with the Duo, it was never designed to be largely adopted by consumers. It's a prosumer device. It's something that we're making this because we can, and we're trying to permeate into the field. And it wouldn't surprise me if you can get a Duo 2 for $1,000 now, or in a couple of months get it for $799. That's going to check a lot of boxes for a lot of people who've been on the fence about it. And then hopefully we're going to get a Duo 3. I really hope we are, because with the improvements they made from the Duo to the Duo 2, I could see the Duo 3 being finally that standout. Look, this is our third generation, and maybe we can get the price down, let's hope, and put some marketing budget behind it and see where it goes.
Absolutely. So, and then it's shame. And like I said, Greg's mentioning your Supra, which I love the Supra. The only problem that bothers me is like, it really isn't a Toyota made product. It really is a BMW Roadster. And I'm like, I really wish we were like, Toyota has enough engineering chops. Like, they could have really came out. I think it's a fantastic vehicle.
They do. And it was kind of a trade-off.
I understand where they're coming from, but man, I think your Supra is fantastic. I would love to have a discussion at some point, have you on about Sarah's, Tesla. Because I mean, and folks, if you're listening and you don't know, Adam's wife Sarah has a Tesla electric vehicle channel, Sarah J. Awesome. You need to check it out. I've been a fan. I don't even want a Tesla. I follow her channel because it's fantastic. And just listening to her, she doesn't seem like a car person, but this Tesla has kind of turned her into like I love her channel. I think it's fantastic. I'm glad that she does those videos, and I'm a big fan of hers.
Yeah, whenever it came to the Tesla, we were looking for a new car for her. And she was in love. Like, she loves Elon Musk. She loves all the Tesla stuff. She loves all the EV stuff. And all the time she's telling me about this stuff. And I told her, I said, look, we'll just get a Tesla. She's like, well, it's too much money. I'm like, look, you're looking at a Mazda 5, CX-5 that's like $32,000. That's going to be worth $20 as soon as we drive off the lot. It's still like gas.
As soon as we leave the lot, it's going to depreciate 20%.
You're going to be paying a lot of money in gas, which thank goodness we avoided that, because she drives 100 miles a day round trip for work when she works.
Wow.
So
me too.
So I was like, look, we'll just get it. And she's like, well, I don't have enough money for it, or the loan, I'm gonna have to get a $40,000 loan. I'm like, look, apply for it, see what kind of interest rate you get. And she got qualified for like 36 or whatever. I'm like, look, I'll give you the extra $5,000. I'll pay it out of my pocket. You want the Tesla, we'll get the Tesla. But if you get the Tesla, I'm telling you right now, you make a YouTube channel. Because as much as you talk to me, it's like me talking to you before my channel about phone stuff all the time. And there's an audience for people out there who want to see your opinion on this, because you're not a car person. You're learning as you go. This is a new emerging market. There's not really a whole lot of women talking with voices in the Tesla community.
Right.
Make a channel, we'll buy the car, and then you can make your videos about it. And I tell you, I like, people will love your channel. And I told her too, from a monetization perspective, your channel will be paying for your car inside of 2 years. And it only took like 10 months. So I'm like, this is what you need to do. And I think that, and she's been very, very successful. I think she's just about to 10,000 subscribers now in like a year and a half. So,
like I said, for a person like me who isn't into that market, I like watching her videos because I just like seeing her discuss the car, talk about the car. Like, I'm not a Tesla person for a lot of reasons that we had TK on the show, and he is a Tesla. And I'm like, I want to fix my car.
Teslas are fine. I'm like, this is the last decade that I'm going to get to enjoy a ICE vehicle, as they derogatorily call them, internal combustion engine. Like, right. I have my Supra, I have my WRX. Like, I like cars with real engines in them. So, like, I have other plans for ones that I want down the road, but right now, yeah. 2JZ in this. No, they don't. It's the same engine. It's the same engine that's in the I think in the M2, the BMW M2. I think also in the Z4. I think it's the same engine. But
I was gonna say it's a Z4 engine, right? But I think they putting a standard gearbox into the new Supra.
This is the 2023, and I was kind of irritated because like my WRX STI is a manual. I like manual sports cars, but
absolutely.
I love the Supra. I'm like, look, I'm not going to buy a 1998.
I don't know if you can afford one. I mean, they're not exactly cheap. Have you looked at them? They're not exactly like 10 grand.
They're not cheap. They're not cheap. I mean, I've been a Supra fan ever since I was a kid. So, like, I don't care. It's a Toyota Supra. Yes, is it basically built on a BMW platform? It is, but it's also tuned by Toyota. So it's a hybrid car. But the thing is it's like whenever they came out with the idea of building like an Android BlackBerry. Yes, I know it's not a BlackBerry, but if this is the way I'm going to get a Supra, then this is how I'm going to get a Supra. And it's not like it's not a respectable car. It does 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds flat.
I was going to say, BMW doesn't exactly make trash vehicles. Now, if
exactly.
it was a Peugeot, I would be like, I don't know about that. But
it's not like it's a co-op with Volvo or Ford or something. Like it's a BMW sport car with a Supra shell on it. I mean, hopefully this will lead to better things. It seems like it's been received very well. I wish it were a manual. Yes, this year is going to have the manual transmission, which I wish I had. But at the same point in time, I was able to get it, and I love driving it. So it's a great car.
Absolutely. Well, we are right at about the 1 hour mark, Adams. And I realize that you have a compressed bandwidth. You have videos to make. You got a Memorial Day weekend. I think Sarah and the family are leaving for a trip. So we want to be considerate and conscientious of your time. And we really, like I said, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like really like the last 2 weeks. The fact that when Lenny reached out to me and said, "Hey, we talked to Adam," I'm like, "Oh shit, really? Is he willing to come on the show?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, we've been really looking forward to it. And like I said, because of I was trying to get you on the old, the Across the Podcast, but the fact that like I said, I'm a big fan of your channel when you were, and I think your growth is great. I think it's not an accident. I think it's because
well deserved. Yeah,
it's because of your prolific video uploading, but I think the fact that you have that conversational tone, and like I said, you are a friend of the show, and anytime you have some moments to spare in the next, the rest of 2022, we would love to have you on the show. And please understand that we are huge fans, and so we don't want to fanboy a little bit here, but we appreciate you taking the time to come on.
I don't ever think of myself as having fans. I still think of my channel as it was like 2 years ago. Just people watch it now. I'm not. Just the fact that I'm like 9,000 away from 100,000 subscribers is just foreign to me. I'll get there one day, and it won't even set in that my channel's there. So anybody who appreciates the work that I do, I'm grateful for it. I tell everybody every video, thanks for taking the time to watch the video. I mean, if anyone makes it to the end of the video, but I mean, I always thank people at the end because there's so much stuff that other people could be doing. There's so many more entertaining videos out there that people could be watching, and I'm grateful for anybody who takes the time because I show up. I'm here to help people, and I like to talk about tech. So people that are about that and enjoy it, it makes me. I'm very appreciative.
So Joe,
keep doing you.
Absolutely, keep doing that. And like I said, Joe, if you check us out, the Purpose of Pixel podcast, you should check out the YouTube channel. We
definitely check us out.
Lenny just uploaded a video talking about all the stuff that's coming out with the Pixel. All of that stuff is good. We appreciate that. And also Extreme Skins. Don't forget, if you're looking for a skin for your phone, they actually have one for the P30 Pro and the Duo. And even my iPhone 8, which is my bank phone, which I don't really care about putting it.
They also do headphones, consoles, they do all sorts.
Absolutely.
Head to www.extremeskins.co.uk.
Absolutely. So check them out. And like Adam, I appreciate, like I said, I realize that your time is valuable. Thank you for coming on the show and spending some time with us and talking about your channel and really the genesis of Tech Odyssey. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us, my friend.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me on, and y'all gentlemen enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'm sure I'll see y'all again at some point in time. But of course, I'm always on Twitter. It might be 2 a.m, it might be 2 2 in the day, I'm always there.
Well, that's funny because I made a comment the other night. I think it was like, and you made a comment like I think it was like 12:30. I was like, holy shit, Adam's still up. I was like, that guy's a gamer, man. He's a beauty, but he's in there doing that kind of stuff. And we'll have you on like talking about because sports. I know you live in Texas, so we want to talk more about Adam, the Adam behind the show, not necessarily the tech behind the show.
Yeah, I want to know more about Adam. Yeah, definitely.
We'll figure it out. I don't have a publicist, but just talk to me offline sometime. We'll
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and that's okay. We don't have publicists either because
we'll send Lenny down. We'll send Lenny down to twist your arm.
Apparently, we'll use Lenny as our PR people. So
yeah,
that is it for the Nomad Tech Project with Sam and Joe with Adam on. We appreciate you guys. Take care of yourself. Have a good day. Enjoy your Memorial Day if you're in the U.S. And then if not, enjoy your tech. And we will be back next week. And we'll probably just be me and you, Joe. I think it's just me and you.
Yeah, let's just do it. Yeah,
we'll talk about Pixel stuff because that's fun.
Yeah, I'm up for that. Yeah.
All right. So for
Yeah,
myself, for Adam Matlock, for Joe, thank you for tuning into the Across the Podcast with Sam and Joe. We will see you next week, and we will love your faces. We will take care of you guys, and same time, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock Central. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you. Goodbye.